about to go downtown.
Downtown, hey!
Downtown. You about to go downtown.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and welcome to another week's episode of Downtown Podcast. Now, as we all know, downtown stands for Don't Waste No Time with Negativity. And listen, I've had some negative things in my life with the opposite sex, and we have a queen here today, okay? That is also not like shy, in my opinion, of just speaking about those vulnerable topics that I feel like or touchy subjects when it comes to being in relationships as well. She is a queen in her own lane in the radio industry, in my opinion. I know people are like, oh, it's not that. No, in my opinion, I did my research, and that is the conclusion that I have come to.
Yeah.
And as well, she is just a queen out here just being a voice for the voiceless. And to me, that's like one of the most standout things. So we have, what, I was about to do it. Reka Robinson in the building. And thank you so much, Queen, for being here today.
Yeah. And I want you to know that, as I told you behind the scenes or whatever, that everybody asks me, how do you pronounce it? How do you say it? And even how do you spell it? And trust me, that's why on my social media platforms, my name is just me, Reka, because I've always had to be like, no, it's just Reka, or it's Reka, or it's Reka, you Reka. So I totally understand.
That one stuck with me.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, remember in the cartoons when they would find gold or they would get an idea, they'd be like, Eureka.
Yeah.
That's how I see my name. So thank you for having me on your platform.
And thank you. I really, like, honestly, before I pose this question, I really do not do this on purpose. I don't get deep right off the jump just on purpose. It just, you say things and it flutters my mind and I'm like, I gotta ask about this, you know? But Black women, we are known, myself included, to have more unique names. And I've shortened my name, like, in terms of work purposes, because of all the discrimination and the constant correction and the purposeful disrespect that I feel I have gotten off of a name that now more than ever, I realize, like, it's just beautiful. You guys can't handle it. Now, I love the explanation you gave with your name, but that is just something that it isn't something that we just go through, but it's something we've gotten so used to. So how do you feel like that affects you? You always have to be like, it's just Reka, to the point where even your social media handles like reflect that.
Yeah, you know what? It's so
you don't have to be like just me, Sarah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, no, it's so funny. My dad will tell you, and I vividly remember having these conversations when I was younger. I told my dad, and I thought I hurt his feelings, and he was like, no, I knew you wasn't going to change it. But I told my dad, I was like, why would you name me this stupid name, Dad? When I turn 18, I'm going to change my name. I'm 37 now, and my name is still Reka. But it was a problem when I was little, because I would be like, Daddy, nobody knows how to say my name. Everybody spells it wrong. And it really did used to bug me. But, you know, when you're younger, you don't really know who you are. You don't. And the name that my dad gave me, he did it. I don't know if he knew what I was gonna become, but it's the perfect radio name. I didn't have to change my name where everybody else, you know, Charlemagne the God is Charlemagne the God when his name is really what is the name? Leonard. You know, everybody else had to change their name and I didn't. And so now I'm like, whatever. My name's Reka. And I give people a lot of grace, but I stop at the disrespect. So if you can't get it or you don't want to say it right, then we just not gonna communicate then, which isn't often. Most people are like, okay, I got it, Reka. Okay, cool. And so, I give them grace because I understand. Well, sometimes I'm like, but it's phonetically spelled, but I don't understand. But I give them grace in that space, and then we just move forward. As long as there's no disrespect, we're there. So your name Kay, that's short for something. What's your real name? Can I ask?
Ooh, are we about to do this exclusive
you don't have
right
to share,
now?
Right, I was gonna say, you don't have to share if you don't want to, whatever you're comfortable with.
No, I really don't mind. And to be honest, like, this obviously wasn't planned, me asking you this, us talking about this, but, you know, that is something that come 2021, I am have planned to start being more vocal about and possibly making that switch, because Kadeen is my full name, but it's crazy to me because I still am in the corporate world until I can make this officially my full time. But it's like being in the corporate world and putting in those resumes. Blair was easy go, gets me in the door, but the Kadeen is where I had them stuck. So once I dropped it to that KAY, the calls were stupid.
Wow.
Stupid.
Yeah. That is interesting that you can track it to that, because
it's a fact.
Yeah, like it's crazy how you can track it, like in that corporate world. I guess because I was in the radio space, they were like, whatever.
It's more accepting, I would think, right?
Yeah, they were like, yes, different name, yes. And that was you know, and it's yeah, that makes me so sad. Like I just I have to take that in for a moment. Like, damn, you know, the privilege I've had with the journey of my name. It's definitely been a privilege, where yours has been different, because I didn't take the corporate route. So I just, I feel for you, girl, sending you a hug, and your name is beautiful, Kadeem. Is it Kadeem with an M or Kadeem?
And see, that is where it was for me.
Yeah.
Or Kaden, or a whole list, but it is Kadeen with the N for Nancy.
Okay. Yep.
Can you tell I work in the office? T for Tom, A for Apple, right?
Yeah. Well, because when you said that, I was thinking of, I think her name is Kadeem Ellis, DWN Kadeem Ellis.
Yes! And like, I literally just found them last year. And I was like, where have you been all my life? Seriously, and I love them. Shout outs to them.
I love that couple. I listen to them all the time. They have a lot of good
same. But yeah, like and that's the thing. That's part of like my journey, and I'm hoping as the years develop, I can really just be honest and vulnerable with people about that, because it isn't until these most recent like 3 to 4 years that I've actually been finding females and males with my name, and I'm like, oh, I'm not so alone as I thought. So in grade 4, when I was crying on the field trip for not being able to find a pencil in the gift shop with my name spelled on it like everyone else.
Yes, yeah.
But those are real moments that,
Yep. I used to have to make my keychains because everybody would have, so I'm
creative. I love that.
I'm an 80s baby and a 90s kid, but in the mall, when I grew up, keychains were popular, and I used to collect keychains. And we used to travel a lot, so my parents are travelers, and so we would be everywhere, and I would always want to collect like keychains or something with my name on it. Of course, I could never find it, but in the mall they had a place where they made keychains. So I remember I used to have so many Bugs Bunny was my dude back in the day, and I used to put Bugs Bunny on it, and I would have Reka, and I have Reka put in my house like 5 times. There's 5 different signs of like Reka. And just having my name, just embracing that, like, that's my name. That's my name. And honestly, on paper, nobody knows I'm Black. They think I'm Mexican. I remember showing up in Indianapolis when I went to the radio station, and I showed up, and one of the Black girls there was like, oh, I thought you was going to be a Mexican girl.
To be honest, that really gives me, because I've had those moments too, where it's just like, it's such a like, I can kind of breathe now, because they were thinking Kay Blair, it's I don't know, but not what they saw coming in. And like anyone that knows me, I am very not ashamed of my Blackness. Like if you're my friend and you are not of this kin, you have, if you see them around me, just know that they're comfortable with it because they're friends with me, right? But when it comes, you mentioned, well, not mention because that was a huge part of your career, radio, but let's get into that, because radio is something that I grew up on. It's taught me the world. It's taught me so many voices. It's taught me music, like so many layers to my, like just the essence of me, like radio, because I was same age group as you. So MP3s, CD players, all those things are things that, like up to today, you could play one of my mom's gospel tapes. And I used to record in Toronto, the big station, back when the station was Flow 93.5. And shout outs to DJ Scratch. He used to do the afternoon mix down show. And I literally would take my mom's gospel tapes, record the mix. So it's like, hallelujah. Like, yes, I got my ass whooped, but
of course, that's funny.
Like literally. So my love for radio and music runs deep. Now for you, what is your story? Was it something you stumbled upon? Was it something that was a part of your family lineage? Like, how did you stumble into radio?
Yeah, so I actually, it's funny story. My dad did start in radio, but I didn't know until I got older. So
same.
So I'll tell that story. So I went to Howard University, HU, and so when I got there, though, I just knew like I want to be in entertainment somehow. Like I've always been an entertainer. I'm the, everybody has in their family the quiet one, the bossy one, I'm the entertaining one. Like I'll tap dance for you, I'll do whatever. Yeah. And so I thought that was going to be acting. And I remember saying when I was like 17, like I'm going to be the next Halle Berry. That's back when Halle Berry was in everything, blah, blah, blah. Yep. And so I got to Howard and I was in fine arts for I think about a year or whatever. And I wasn't good at it. Was not good at it.
You weren't good at it.
I wasn't good at acting, girl. I was not. It was not my thing. And now that I know me, it makes so much sense. Like I'm just better at being me, which actually leads me to radio. So then, I was talking to a friend one day, and he was like, "Man, you talk so much. You need to be on the radio." And I was like, "Well, how do you do that?" Like I grew up on radio just like you. I still have the autograph from my morning show host when I was like in 5th grade, and I remember meeting him and like. Radio was a big deal, but I don't know that like when I'm 15 and 16, it wasn't like a job to me. I didn't think about career paths, right? Especially back then in the 80s and 90s, it was all about doctor, lawyer, teacher, veterinarian, and that was it. Yeah, like fire woman, the regular jobs, right? So I didn't think about it, but
stability.
He mentioned that. Shout out to Kyle. We're still friends today. He mentioned that, and I was like, okay, well, how do you do that? He was like, yo, they got a student station. You should go audition because at Howard, you got to audition for everything. You have to freaking try out, audition, whatever. So, and I got on and I had my own show and our professor that year really took that class and honed us and refined us. And I remember we would do all these college competitions. We would go down to Atlanta and we would win every category. Some of my classmates from those years are still in radio today. And I really was like, yo, this is home, dude. This is home because I got to be Reka. Like, in fact, going back to the name conversation, it's so funny. Everybody was getting their nicknames and I was like, I want a nickname. my friends were like, girl, your name is a nickname. Like your name is Reka. Come on now. And actually I was Reka J for a while because I just wanted something else. So I started radio and my professor, who we're still cool to this day. In fact, I talked to his class, I think like a month ago about radio. And he was really like, yo, you can do this. Like, this is it. So the summer before I graduated Howard, I interned for KISS FM in Seattle, Washington. So I'm from Seattle, go Hawks all day, Russell Wilson in the house. And so I interned and I was like the best intern. I was a hustler especially back then. And my program director at the time was like, yo, you're really talented. You got something. When do you graduate? Like, where's radio at for you? I was like, I guess I'll be in radio. He was like, once you graduate, if you come back, I'll give you a part-time spot. Mm-hmm. So of course I took it. So I was like one of the only people in my friend group who knew that I had a job before I even graduated.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And I graduated and he held true to his promise and I got the job. Yeah. And sorry about my dogs.
Oh, don't apologize.
Yeah. So I got the job and it just took off from there. And so I was in Seattle for about 5 years. And then I went to Indianapolis for 5 years. And now I've been here where I am, which is a smaller community, 3 hours outside of Seattle in Eastern Washington. A lot of people don't realize Washington State is kind of split in half from mountains. And so I live on this side, which that's a longer story about the history of my family here, actually. And this is where my dad was on the radio here. And once I got into radio, then he started telling me those stories. Like, oh yeah, I used to, be on the radio, which
something over here.
yeah. And he, in fact, when I was in when I turned 15, my dad threw me a party. He was my DJ. And even back then, I didn't know, like I was, you know what I mean? Like I was the coolest girl.
How lit your life was?
Got my life at 15. Like my dad threw me a party. Yeah, everything. He was my DJ. It was so cool. But even then, I didn't know, like I wasn't putting two and two together. And so, yeah, so then once I got here, once I got in radio, that's when my dad started sharing, the stories with me and stuff. So it's pretty cool to actually be on the same frequency. It was called something else back then, that my dad was. And in this community where my dad used to be on the radio, and he was everything, him and my mom. And fun fact, I have an elementary school named after my grandmother here. And so, yeah. So being in this community with her name, a school, my dad's history, like it has been a crazy 7 years of doing morning shows. But I just stepped down from doing mornings, and now I'm part-time. Yeah.
We will get to that, but
right.
I don't want to gloss over a lot of these major keys that you gave everyone, because a lot of the times people will come, they'll ask me, well, what questions are you going to ask me? What is downtown about? But like literally, it's what the acronym stands for.
Yeah.
Don't waste no time with negativity. It's about inspiration and motivation. And it's people like yourself and plenty of others that I've spoken to that are just real people that have gone through real things and giving you real experiences and letting you know, like, you're not alone. You can still do this, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned a lot of things, as I said, I don't want to gloss over. First of all,
no worries, girl. Ask me everything. I'm with it.
shout outs to going to school. I'm here to congratulate you. Shout outs to going to school. Shout outs to completing school. Shout outs to listening to the advice. You probably didn't listen to all, but in this case, we'll say you listened to the right advice, right? And you didn't have to go through that journey in school and follow up with applying in the student radio. And like the amount of people I met just in this circle alone, I feel like I go to Howard. I'm in Toronto, like literally, like I'm not joking. So it's just like to know you rose above all of that, and like you came out onto, like, that's nothing to gloss over, because Howard, you got some competition over there, like
you know what I will say, and I love this story because it always reminds me of who I really am, and it gets down to the core of me. Is so I applied to Howard, as you do when you're trying to go to college or whatever. Especially back then, like college was the thing. Like they told you have to go to college, But so I applied. Never got a letter, okay? Never got a letter. I never got the you got in. I never got the you suck, you didn't get in. I never got a letter, right? So I'm moping around the house, and my mom is like, you really want to go, don't you? I was like, yeah, oh my God, and she goes, okay, this is what we about to do. I'm going to put you on a plane, and you're going to go ask them if you got in. So in Seattle, they have a group of people who take kids on a Black college tour. And so my mom knew those people because my mom was in the education field. She retired as the special ed director of the Renton School District. But so she got me in contact with that person, the coordinator or whatever, and said, listen, my daughter doesn't have to go on the whole tour, but I do need you to just drop her off at Howard because their second stop was Howard.
Yeah. And
she was like, and she needs to go in the A building and figure out if she got in or not. And then you could put her back on a plane and come back to Seattle. And that's what I did. 18 years old, by myself, basically. Like I didn't know these people. I was just like, okay, because I really wanted to go. Talk about like not listening to the negative and pushing that out and everything. I mean, that could have been fear, could have stopped me, like, oh, it's not that serious, or it's just fine, anything, but I wanted to go so bad. That was my goal. So yeah, my little 18-year-old self went into the A building and was like, hi, so my name is Reka, and I was wondering if I got in. And she wrote my name down, and she wrote my name down, disappeared for like 20 minutes and came back and was like, oh, baby, you got in. You never got a letter.
Oh my God.
Hey, if I would have never gone to DC, where would I be today? I don't
You would have
know.
been waiting for that letter.
Wait,
Didn't get in.
I don't know where Howard made me do, like, just even introducing me to radio. Where would I be today if I didn't go on this trajectory of my life and journey? So so I love what you stand for, and everything is just pushing that all out. I had a goal and I fought for it and I got it.
I love that. And like, also you take direction.
Yeah.
You listen to a lot of people, myself included, prior to me doing this, a lot of times people will say things or guidance, and sometimes we'll just brush it off and probably not take it as seriously as we should. But it's those little steps that will take you to, like, through your journey, like, what you have to do. Like, that story to me is just, I love traveling. I love, like, planes. So it's just 18 on a jet plane.
Even so, I'm 37 now, and I look back like, dude, I was bold. I mean, I've lived in New York, I've interned. I lived in New York right before Howard, because even before Howard, so I got in, and then I begged my dad, I begged my parents, could I move to New York? So when
this was after, during college, or?
This is, so in fifth grade, so like I said, my parents, we travel all the time, right?
Yeah.
And in fifth grade, my parents drove us from Seattle all the way to New York City. Like, we drove.
Yeah.
I'm 12. What? I remember this vividly. And I always loved TV and theater and movies and everything. And so I knew what New York City was. And I remember being in fifth grade. And I could still feel her today, like being this little girl, and we were in Times Square, and I just stood there and looked at MTV, the Toys R Us store, like Virgin Records, like everything was there. And I was like, Mom, this looks just like it does on TV. I'm gonna live here one day. And so I made a promise to that little girl. So then when I turned 18 and, outside of college, and then I applied to Howard, I got into Howard, but you get in at right before high school is over. So I had a whole summer before I was gonna go to Howard. So I looked up a school, my little self. This is when
this little girl schemed her whole plan before she got to her.
Listen, I'm on the internet like, how can I go to New York? I want to take a theater class. Research the whole thing, because I knew my dad, and I had to have like a PowerPoint presentation of what I wanted to do. Yeah. And that's what I did. And my dad said no. And because I was like, can I move to New York before Howard? Because I want to go to this film for television school. It's a summer program. Can I go? And my dad was like, no. I was like, so then my mom and dad, my mom to this day would be like, girl, we almost got a divorce over that, because we was fighting. Yeah, because she was like, Ricky, my dad's name is Ricky. Yeah. Reka, Ricky. So my mom was like, yo, I don't think you know your daughter. I think she'll be okay. Because my dad was scared. It was fear. Like, I'm not going to send my little, mind you, at that time I was still 17. Because my birthday's in June. So I'm a late. Yeah. So they thought about it. And then my godmom happened to be in New York at that time, because my godmom's a traveler too. And my mom was like, yo, can you just check out this school and make sure it's real? She went, checked it out. My godmom to go get her. She talked to the professors, this and that. Is this real? Is this? And it was real. And somehow my mom convinced my dad. Yeah. So.
Well, we do it.
Yeah. The women in my life, man, they fought for me,
Yeah.
Somehow my mom and my godmom convinced my dad to let me go, and they got on a plane with me and dropped me off in Harlem, New York.
Your mother and your father?
Yeah. So my parents are still married. They've been married for like over 40 years, which is disgusting. It's so gross to me. I love them.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I love them. I joke.
Now, another, like, wow. We'll say that. Right? Wow. Like, I'm selfish, right? Because even though, yes, this is the show and it is for everyone, I secretly am just here getting my own inspiration and just battery in my back to just keep moving forward, right? And what I love about your story is that it seems as if your parents, your mother and your father, have always been a solid foundation in your life and a solid source of like encouragement and not deterring you from being you. Because a lot of the times, like, for example, in my situation where it's just kind of like being that first in your family from immigration to kind of do everything. So everything's just, like, you know, because they don't know themselves, but they're not going to tell you that as a child, right? So it's very important when you have parents that, for lack of better terms, are creatives or visionary thinkers as well, because if they're not living within the box, they won't force their child, I'm hoping so, not to live within a box.
Right.
That experience, like for you, like growing up and being on your journey and discovering yourself as Reka, and like, how do you feel that's like played a role for you, like you now, and the decisions you make?
Yeah. You know what? And it's so funny. I'm the middle child, even though I feel like the only child because I'm the only girl, so I don't have middle child syndrome. But I fight with my little brother about that a lot because he riffs with my parents a lot. And I'm like, you don't know how privileged you are and how blessed you are to have the family structure that we had. A lot of people don't get this. And honestly, I didn't realize it till when I got in high school a little bit, but yeah. And then when I moved to New York and went to Howard, I was like, what in the hell? Your parents did what? You don't know your dad? You know, like my vision was opened and I realized how blessed I was. Because you think what's going on in your house, whether good or bad, is how it is for everybody. And so I just remember, you know, there's a couple of things that my parents instilled in me. Now, there's a couple of ways that my parents did get it wrong, and I'm sure we'll get to that.
Of course.
But
not of course as in your parents, but as in like they always.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's perfect, right? And my parents were doing what they could at that time, and they're baby boomers and stuff like that. So, but there's two things that my parents definitely instilled in me. And one of them was, so I'm a Christian, I grew up Christian, and it was about having your own relationship with God. So you're not out here judging anybody for anything. You sin just as much as they do. I don't care if they're gay, I don't care if they this, I don't care. You sin as much as they're sinning, and you don't judge anybody for that. Your job is to love them, but you focus on your relationship with God. Now, did I listen to the focusing on my relationship with God enough when I was little? No, but I am now. And that's really why I lost myself a little bit, because I lost my anchor. And then the second thing was, I remember my dad would literally say, I don't care if you want to be a garbage woman, a hole digger, whatever. You better be the best garbage woman or hole digger there is. So I definitely had a lot of exploration. You know, my mom said as soon as I was born she said I came out talking and walking, and she put me in dance. And that's my love of performance and all that comes from that. But she was like, she was like, girl, you tired me out. So I had to put you in something for you to get tired so that I could go to sleep. And so I had a lot of room to explore and be everything, like tap, jazz, ballet, piano, cheerleading, traveling. I remember I was probably 14 or 15, and I knew that I had cousins in Alabama. And I think that I may have met them that summer or something. I literally looked at my mom and was like, Mom, can I go to Alabama? Like by myself. And she was like, okay. They put me on a plane. I'm this 14, and this is before 9/11. So something cool about that is I got to sit in the cockpit and meet the pilot, and I got like a little certificate and wings.
Yes.
You just have a babysitter. Like you could have a babysitter.
My first time going to Jamaica, that's why I was like, if you didn't go to the cockpit, was you really flying?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so yeah, I was always that ambitious little girl, and my parents definitely fed that. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever, go bye, do this, da, da, da. To a point where my mom would always be like, girl, you can't do everything. Sit down.
Let me ask you, right? Because you did mention that later on you discovered that your father was in radio. And for me, I'll still say I'm going through a transitional phase of like, even though I'm the youngest of the three, but I feel like the oldest.
Okay.
And the only girl as well.
Yeah. Some about them boys, they just don't grow up as fast as we do. I don't know.
I don't get it. Oh,
Yeah.
and before we continue, Reka, because I do respect your time, I am really, of course, enjoying this conversation with you so much. Are you okay with continuing on, or do you have to like?
No, girl, let's do it. I'm like, what? Have we been on for 2 hours? What happened? I'm good. I haven't.
Love it, but don't hesitate to be like, all right, girl, because I can get wrapped up when I'm really having fun. So
okay, I'm glad you're having fun. Now I got questions for you though. I'm like, wait a minute. But anyway,
it's about you.
Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to like that discovery period for me now is like, okay, I am the child. I am the youngest. You are my mom. You are my dad. But I'm also seeing you as Joan and Winston. And I don't really know if I fuck with y'all. But I love you, mom and dad. Keep it real. I'm gonna be real. And I'm a PK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real.
Mm-hmm.
So what, have you gone through that moment yet? Or what is that moment for you like where you still have your mom and your dad, but now you're seeing them as like individuals in the world, and you realize what you get from them and what you don't, and what you rock with and what you don't. Like, what is that part of your journey been like?
Yeah, it is weird. God, who was I just having this conversation with? Oh, one of my clients. That's right. It is weird when you come to the realization that your parents are people. Like when you're born, when you're born, you just think they were this age forever. They had you, and now they're mom and dad. Yeah. But going through my abusive relationship, and I'm sure we'll get to what my business is now, but my abusive relationship to now, and it has opened my eyes to a lot of the things. And I hate saying like what my parents got wrong or whatever, because I love my parents. And I actually had to go through therapy about that too, because I felt bad saying that my parents got it wrong in this area, right? Yeah. So realizing that they are Rosalind and Ricky. And me and my dad, we can only focus on what we were doing when I was little, going to the movies, talking about Star Wars stuff. Like we're trying to figure out how we're gonna go see Wonder Woman for Christmas. Like, are we gonna rent out a theater because they're letting you do that now?
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah. So we love that stuff. With my dad, I can't talk about anything that so me even stepping down from radio, my dad doesn't understand it. And he's not mean about it, like, oh, you're stupid or something. It's just, I can tell the vibe. Like, why would you do that? Because they're baby boomers. My dad's 67.
They don't do things once they start. We know.
No, it's like whatever you started at. And it's funny though, because my dad did kind of have a journey, because he was a DJ, but then he met my mom and they started having kids. So he had to leave that. Because he wasn't making enough money to be sustainable. But yeah, you're a baby boomer, you get a job, and then you retire, and then you die. So we have that thing. My mom, she's just overly mommy. And so now, but I'm learning, and they're accepting the boundaries. Like I'm literally 37. Parenting is over.
I forget my age sometimes because I have y'all treat me.
Exactly. So yeah, parenting is now over. We've completed. So now we have to have, yes, you're still my mom and you're still my dad. I know it's never going to be like best friends, because you know, as Black parents, well, I ain't your friend. I ain't one of your little friends, right? So that'll never happen. But just just knowing who I want to be, how I want to show up, and boundaries. That's what I do now with my parents. Like, no, I don't want to do that. And, you know, like the other day, my dad sent me a text about, I miss you on the radio. I'm sorry. And I was like, why are you sorry, Dad? You can miss me. Don't mean I'm going back. You're allowed to share that. That's fine. So it's just about learning who you want to be, how you want to show up, and then putting up those boundaries. And if you're paying your own bills and you don't live with them, they have to accept it. They have to. So, yeah.
The whole time my mom spent being like, when are you 18? When are you 18? All right, well, we're here, and I pay my own rent, so thank you very much.
You're grown now. Society says when you turn 18, you grown. For parents, once you leave this house, you grown. So I have been 18. So Like, I haven't lived with my parents in over 10 years. So
Seriously, I ain't looking back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our relationship with our parents are like essentially the first relationships or dynamics we learn as humans, period.
Yeah.
Whether they're in our lives or not, because their absence can teach us that of relationships as well.
Mhm.
Now, is it safe to call you, I don't want to say, I'm trying to coin my own terms here. Is it safe to say like a non-relationship guru? Like, no.
So, right. So, no, you know what? I don't know. I call myself the single girl's life coach, right? So,
Yes.
But I definitely don't teach you not to be in a relationship.
But how to value yourself when you're not in and when you're in.
Yeah. So so what I do is I say that I help you discover your worth so that you stop tying your identity to men and stop being a man pleaser. Relationship with self is most important. So if you are dating knowing that singleness is not a punishment and I am worthy regardless of my relationship status, then you will better be able to leave situations that are not benefiting you at all. But when you're out here dating and, because society teaches us, especially in America, that the goal in life when you're a woman is to get married and have kids. And if you don't do that by 28, you suck at life. You didn't get the goal, right?
Well, I'm getting it.
Yeah. So that is what society is putting on us. And it's starting to diminish with millennials and then Gen Z and then a bit. And so when you're dating with that foundation of I have to hurry up and get this goal, which is what I was doing. So no judgment on anybody who is doing it. This is where my business comes out of, where my heart is. So if you're dating with that, like I have to hurry up and get this goal. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You're going to be holding on to these dysfunctional relationships, trying to get married and have these babies because then the society will deem that I'm worthy and they will celebrate me.
Exactly.
So if you're dating with that is dangerous. But if you're dating knowing, listen, regardless of what happens, I am still worthy, period. Because I say so, because God says so, whatever you believe in says so. The fact that you're still living and breathing on this earth, you still have a purpose. And that is not defined by you having a man and some kids. It's not. So that is how I want women to date, from that stand. Not having I'm not saying have an attitude, be mean to people, put up brick walls. I teach my clients to put up fences. We got to be data collecting out here, but not walls. But we are. The Bible asks us to guard our heart. And that's what that means. It's boundaries. Boundaries in every bucket. Relationships, parents, co-workers, society. Yeah. We have to learn these things. But where do you go to school to learn how to be in love, okay? Nowhere. And that is where my parents got it, quote unquote, wrong. I love my parents and they have a beautiful relationship. But baby boomers were not. Yeah. They what was that?
For me, like, I was saying they don't know love. Like,
well, and
how to showcase it.
Yeah. For my parents, they do. I believe they do. They have a beautiful relationship, but they never had the conversation with me about how to get there. So what is a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship?
Yes.
Those conversations were not had. And I'm pretty sure my parents were doing what their parents did. And they probably thought, well, she's going to see a great relationship. She'll figure it out. No, no, I needed the conversations. I needed them.
Like my father, number one, grandchildren. I want the grandchildren. Where the grandchildren there? First of all. Secondly, like, what about my website? What about everything that I am? Does none of this matter?
Yeah.
Like, are you like so many things, right? But you mentioned of which like your parents have experienced and them not really transferring it to you. But I'm curious to know, what is that situation that brought you to being the single girl's life coach today?
Right. And I will answer that, but first I want to know where you're from or your parents. Because I keep hearing the accent. Like, you keep throwing that in. I'm like, hold on. You from Jamaica?
Jamaica.
Yeah, I've been to Ocho Rios. I've been to Ocho Rios, Jamaica.
Hey, did you like it?
I loved Jamaica. In fact, bringing it back to radio, the first time I was in Jamaica was because I broadcasted live from one of the Sandals resorts because we were doing a promotion and giving away free trips to Ocho Rios.
Yeah.
And yes, girl, I was like, oh my God.
I remember when that was like a thing in radio. The destination was like Jamaica, or it would be like the jazz festival.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and my parents came with me on that trip too. It was my dad's 60th birthday. Yeah, that's crazy. Dang, that was like 8 years ago. That's crazy. So I've been to Jamaica, so good to know. Okay, so
yes, when you come to Toronto, I'll cook you a nice plate of food. I love food. So.
Yes, and I do love Jamaican food. I do. Okay, so like I said, I grew up in Seattle. I went to Howard. I've lived in Indianapolis. I've been all over the world, as you can see, out of this country. I've always been a traveler. And
I didn't pose this question properly. So let me pose it better, because I just want to make sure I'm clear. And for the audience to not feel like I'm shying away from asking. For someone that has been surrounded by what people feel like so much love and so much support, you're supposed to have a perfect relationship. You're supposed to how do you end up in an abusive relationship? How do you end up getting hurt? You're not supposed to get hurt.
Girl,
I don't agree with that.
Right. Trust me. I had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself when I got out of that relationship, because I had to figure that out. Like, how did I get here? And so to tell that story, let's start from the beginning. Yes. So again, yes, I had I know nothing but marriage. My grandparents were married, on my mom's side and my dad's side. My parents are still married. My aunts and uncles are still married to the same people they was married to when I came out the womb. So there wasn't, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but there wasn't a lot of dysfunction that I saw. Yeah. There was family dysfunction for sure, like my dad and my aunts and stuff, but everything seems to be fine now. But my parents did not have that conversation with me again about, like, did your parents have a conversation with you about, okay, Kay, this is a healthy relationship versus this is an unhealthy relationship? Exactly. So we're out here dating because we think that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like, that's the human nature, that's desire. But I guarantee you, desire did not wake up one day and say, you know what I want? A dysfunctional relationship. That's what I want. I want to be mistreated, Okay. But the problem is, because relationships are not a point of focus for humans. And I mean by focus, I mean by studying and figuring out what's healthy, what's abusive, what's not, what's narcissism, what's love bombing, what's this. We're out here dating without a parachute. So we're just jumping off the plane, like, because I think I'm supposed to do this because society has done it and that's what I see. And my body tells me I like this guy. So I'm just jump off the plane. But when you want to be a doctor, you have to go and get education. When you want to be a lawyer, you have to go get education. So I say that to say, none of us are getting this education on relationships, which is the most important thing in our life. And it doesn't in every bucket. With parents, like, we just, who's talking about parent and older child relationships? Nobody. Relationships, co-workers, and all that. So while I'm traveling and I'm moving across the country a couple times because of radio and Howard and stuff, I am around millennials that are fine with being single, and we're just kicking it and we're having a great time and it's fun. So I never really had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself about relationships because everybody looked like me. We're all doing the same thing. Then I moved to where I am now, which is 3 hours outside of Seattle, in this small community. And I look up, I'm 30, and I look up, I get here, I buy this house 7 years ago, and then I look up and I'm like, well, shit, everybody's married and has kids. Did I miss the goal?
Yeah.
And I freaked out. I freaked because I was 30, single, didn't have kids. And like you said, everybody's like, where the babies at? Where's your man? And I will say this, my parents never did that to me. They never were like, you need to hurry up and get married. They just like, whatever. She gonna do what she gonna do.
Yeah.
And, right.
They know.
Right. They know. Okay. Okay. They may not agree with it, but they gonna let me just do what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got here, and then the circle that I'm surrounded by, everybody in small towns, everybody gets married at 18, Then you start popping up kids at 18 and a half. And if you don't do that by 23, you suck at life. Yeah. So that affected me, and unfortunately led me down a path that I didn't want to go on, because in retrospect, I didn't know this then, but doing all the journey and the work that I've done since then, so I ended up just being in the next relationship. And like, this is the relationship that has to work, because I have to hurry up and get this goal. Passing red flags, passing signs of abuse, because they pass me because I don't know that's a sign. I don't know that's a red flag because nobody told me this, right? And what reality, say that again?
No, I said that's real.
Yeah. And what reality TV is showing is that relationships are dysfunctional, and you argue, and it's drama, and it's, he cheats on you, then he apologizes, then you take him back, and then you're good for 2 months, and then he does it again. And that cycle of dysfunction continues because you think that is a relationship. And I want to feel worthy, and I don't want people to feel sorry for me. People feel sorry for single women. I don't know why. They're like, are you, like, the amount of text messages I got on Thanksgiving to check on me, like, are you okay? Because they knew I was alone. My mom bought me a meal, and I was like,
bottle of wine in one hand, probably.
Chilling with my dogs, watching TV,
with my dogs.
Having a good time. But everybody, of course, thought I was sad, so they had to check on me. You good? I'm good. Like, I'm good. So I didn't want, when I was 30, I didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to go to another baby shower and somebody's old auntie, basically in her tone and the way she asked, judging me because I'm single. So I wanted this relationship to work. And I was in that relationship for 2 years, and we can get into some stories of that. But I wanted to answer your question. So I was in that relationship for 2 years, and he broke up with me. He broke up with me saying that he couldn't trust me, Kay. Mind you, behind my back, he was cheating on me the whole time.
Well, you can't trust me.
But you can't trust me. Okay. But I didn't know that, right? So I didn't know this. But now, in retrospect, and the journey that I've been on and understanding.
You were getting close to something.
That was projection. He was projecting on me his wrongdoings, thinking that I would do it to him. So he had to somehow figure out how to shut this girl down who was super bubbly. And what I found in a lot of the shadow work that I've been doing and the journey I went on is, when I was little, again, I talk a lot, as you can see.
Oh, I'm like fully engulfed. Like, you're not saying anything of nonsense. So thank you for being so vulnerable, and you are not talking a lot. A lot of important things.
Yeah. But as you see, I have a lot of words and I can speak. And so I've always been that way. And unfortunately, and my teachers didn't know that they were doing this, but what I learned at a young age was I'm too much, because I would always get in trouble in school. Reka, go sit out in the hall. Reka, go to the principal's office. Girl, I had a teacher tell me shut up one time. And my mom was at that school quick. So in school, I wasn't allowed to be Reka. I had to I was annoying people. So I started learning, unbeknownst to them, that I'm too much. Then when I have like 3 pillar relationships that really define me. And in every single one, even my abusive one, they always told me I was too much. Always. Reka, shh, Reka. Like, girl, what, you loud. There was something wrong with me. That's what I was learning. And so on top of that, and then my parents not having the conversation with me about what makes healthy versus unhealthy, it was just, it was just the best formula to be in an abusive relationship, because I was trying to mold into what I thought he wanted me to be, and like serve my way into his heart, and thinking this is how you get a happy relationship, because they always say marriage is hard. They always say compromise you have to do, right? So I'm thinking that means I have to compromise, diminish, dim my light of who I am. Like, I literally in that relationship got quiet. Like, I used to talk like this when I was with him and around friends. I'd be like, because I thought, again, and this is me, okay?
And I'm not shaking my head like at you. I'm like,
oh, I know, yeah. So that's how I got in that relationship. And for when he broke up with me in June of 2017, From June to December of 2017, I beat myself up asking those same questions. How could I get here? I have a 2-parent household. I don't have daddy issues. I went to Howard University. I'm so stupid. I can't beat myself, cried myself to sleep. Mind you, I'm doing the morning show at this time. So I still have to wake up at 4:30.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, good morning. Let's talk about the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Crying. And so I used to tell my co-host, I'll be right back, during commercial break, because usually you have 5-8 minutes depending. And I'd go in the bathroom and cry and just get it together, Reka, you got this, you could do this. Because I didn't want to, I was so embarrassed. Yeah. And this was the boyfriend that I put
embarrassed
all over
what, for him breaking up with you, or?
Embarrassed that I would allow that to happen to me. Again, I was asking the same questions that you asked me. How the hell could I, right? Because I thought that I was a strong woman. In different buckets I was. In some areas I was. In my career I was. I was a trailblazer in that, But in this bucket, I had so much shame because I was letting a guy diminish me. Yeah. And when we broke up, the embarrassment was I had put him, you know how we do. We get in, you know how girls do. I don't do this anymore. This is the lesson I learned. But when you get in a relationship and you think he the one, he all over your social media. And he was fine too.
Yeah, learn that lesson.
Yeah, all over social media, professing he the one. And I had to literally go and erase all of
I just know that grunt means why?
You felt it. I know you did. I know you did.
We done past it. It's done already.
Because depending on your age, you've been there, and I know you've been there.
Yes, so most definitely, more than once.
Yeah. If you're 18, 19 listening to this, do not post your boyfriend all over your social media. No. He's not on boo-boo. And if he is, wait till after you get married. So I had to erase it. And I used to talk about my boyfriend all the time. And for 3 months, I didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And my listeners started catching on. I would get DMs like, hey, what happened to your boyfriend? And I never answered them though, because I was still hurting. I'm not to share with you, Yes. And then my co-host was like, dude, people are starting to ask me, because I had told my co-host, he was literally the only, because I had to see him every day. So I had to, exactly. And when I told him, and I was like, and I don't want to talk about it. He was like, okay. So then I went to Mexico by myself, Christmas of 2017. Have you ever seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love?
Bible.
Oh. Everybody need to watch that movie. Everybody need to watch that movie.
My Netflix just constantly has it at the front for me. There's certain things that are just staples for me.
Classic.
It's more, not to divert. It's more than even. It's that journey. There's some film performances where they get that woman journey, so Letters to Juliet, Eat, Pray, Love. I'm gonna get into my white girl bag, but yes, let's continue.
Let's all out the white girl movie. Listen, I love that woman. I've actually seen the real woman speak, not Julia Roberts, but I forgot her real name. But Oprah, when she would do her speaking tours, she came to Seattle, and my mom bought me tickets because my mom knows I love Oprah's my other mom, right? So we went and we saw her speak. Yes. But so I was inspired by that movie. And the funny thing is I watched that movie when it first came out all the time. And then one day I was just watching it after that relationship, and I was like, I need to go on a solo trip. And and then I remember, this is how I started opening up about that relationship on air. Because I live in a community that has a lot of Mexicans, my co-host was Mexican, his parents were from Mexico, so I have a lot of immigrants here, and then first generation American. Excuse me, hold on.
No problem.
Okay, first generation American kids or whatever, and my co-host was one, and so the topic on air was, I'm going on a solo trip, where should I go in Mexico? That was the first, and then that started opening me up. And so, I bought my ticket, I went by myself, and for a week, Christmas week of 2017, and my mom was so mad, you ain't gonna be here for Christmas? Nope. I'm gonna be with Jesus on a beach. Yeah. And that's when my journey started. Yeah, and that's when my journey started. And there were 3 questions that I asked myself. how did I get here? Who do I say I am? And who does God say I am? How did I get here? Who does God say I am? And who do I say I am? And the reason why I specifically ask those questions, especially who do I say I am and who does God say I am, my abusive ex would tell me things about myself that I began to internalize as true. Because again, I had heard them over and over. And I thought, well, I keep hearing these messages, so then it must be true. So, and then he would call me sneaky and a cheater and a liar because he was doing the same things. And he would point out things like, my phone is always on silent, okay? Yeah. Always. My phone, I've never been the person who liked the dings, the
You gotta vibrate.
Vibrate or silent. And he thought that was sneaky. He thought it was sneaky. And he used to try to project on me that my co-host liked me and that we flirted all the time on air. And he hated that. He berated me for still having like my Michael Kors bags that ex-boyfriends bought me that I ended up getting rid of.
Ones. Replace them if it's such an issue.
If it is such an issue, bitch, you buy them. You buy them.
But until then.
But being the person that I was thinking I had to do, I literally went to Goodwill and gave them away. I'm so pissed because it was a cute little mini Michael Kors red bird.
I was probably that person at Goodwill that bought it for the $14.99. Shoot.
And I remember I blogged about this and I was like, so the girl who got my Michael Kors bag, you better not ever give that up for a man, ever.
That's cute.
Girl, I got rid of Jordans because, like, what? And the only reason why he knew is because I would talk about it on air. I think we had a topic of like, are you allowed to keep your ex's stuff? Yeah. And when he found that out, he was like, you didn't tell me, you're a liar. Who says, okay, so we're starting a relationship, let me tell you all the things that I got from my ex. This laptop came from an ex. These are conversations I don't need to have. What are we, 12? Like I'm grown, but I wanted this relationship to work so much. I was willing to do anything to hold on, not knowing that I was literally dimming my light, suffocating myself. And so I went on that trip and that's when journaling started. And have you ever read the book, The Purpose-Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren?
No. What is it called?
Yep. I'm like, write it down, Kay. Write it down.
I always listen. I don't play. Anytime I'm recommended books.
Yeah.
And sorry, what is the title again, Reka?
So, The Purpose-Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren.
Driven Life. I'm a slow writer, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. We got all the time in the world, girl.
By Pastor Rick Warren?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why am I?
What? It's the W.
Yes. Okay.
And then write down Gabrielle Union's We're Gonna Need More Wine.
Listen, that's my girl.
Yes, I love me some Gabby. So, when I went to Mexico by myself, I'm like, what do people bring on a solo trip? I was like, oh, I guess I should bring some books. And I think I already had The Purpose-Driven Life. No, in fact, I know I did. My parents gave it to me when I was 15, never read it. I should have, but this is the life, right?
One of those ones, yeah.
So, I ended up buying it again, and then I found it later, and I was like, oh my God, I've always had this book. But anyway, so I took that book with me, and I think I was in the airport, and Gabrielle's book just came out, and I was like, oh shoot, I need to buy her book. Bought the book, whatever. I get to Mexico, I'm on the beach, and I start reading. Mind you, back in June of 2017, when he broke up with me, I told his ass, okay, take me to the airport. And yes, I was hurt, and yes, I was crying, and that's when I started beating myself up. But I felt in my knowing and my being, I didn't hear, because I don't hear God in audibles, but I felt something that let me know I will use this story. So God told me I will use this story. Back then, I was like, use this story? I didn't tell nobody what I went through. What? Yeah. Like, I had so much shame, like so embarrassed, like I told you.
It is.
So, right. So then I'm reading The Purpose-Driven Life. And in that book, Pastor Rick Warren says, your greatest shame will be the things that heals others. And I was like, and that really started getting the ball rolling. Like, God told me he was going to use this story. Then I'm reading Gabrielle Union's book, And I was reading this book, okay, I'm on the beach, you know, watching the Mexicans are coming by, like, you want to buy? Like, they trying to sell me stuff, and I'm just reading, woo, woo, woo. In fact, look, here's my little Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, and that's so funny. I always forget that it's in here, and every time I open it, it just reminds me, and I have a little letter to myself. But I'm reading the book, and I'm like, did Gabrielle Union write this book about me? I'm confused. I thought this I'm so confused. Does she know me?
You know me?
Do you know me? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
She has the same story. Two-parent household. Nobody ever talked to her about how to get to the relationship. I think her parents are divorced now, but she went through it with relationships since junior high to high school to she was even married before Dwayne Wayne, which I didn't know. And abused, beat. She was actually physically abused. I was not. But I felt seen, and I was like, oh my God. So then it was just another connection to what God meant. Like, I will use this story to heal others. And so that really started me on my journey. Like, okay, how am I going to get out of this? And then when I did, it was like, how can I teach this to other women? And I started blogging and sharing my story. And then I saw, to tie it back to radio, I saw how the relationship with my listeners changed. And so instead of me just being entertaining to them, because I feel like I'm funny, it turned into, I would get messages from, Reka, I just read your blog today and I want to thank you. I literally had a girl tell me that she left her boyfriend after reading one of my blogs because he beat her so bad that he broke one of her ribs, and she was in the hospital. And because of my words and my blog, she decided, and all the shit that she went through too, that's when she decided, I'm done. And she left him that day. And I'm like, yep, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, or as long as God willing. Yes. As long as he wants me to do it. And so that is the journey that I went on, the discovery of self. And the more that you know yourself, the better decisions you will make for yourself. The less you will listen to negativity, the less you will listen to society, the less you will allow society to be your mirror. Like, I literally used to think my boyfriends and other people could tell me who I was. In fact, it's the opposite. I get to tell you who I am, and whether you like it or not, that's on you. That's not my problem. I have to deal with Reka, and I have to live with Reka. So I have to do the things that I say that I want. I have to execute in order to be happy. That's self-care. Yeah.
I love you, Reka. I gotta tell you that. And like, please don't stop shining your light. Like,
no, I can't anymore.
It's so needed. And I'm laughing at myself, and I'm laughing at Ivan, because I'm like, you know what you do. But you know, I'm so happy that I just have this honor of like getting to speak with you and like converse with you and just meeting you at this point in your journey, because it's like, people ask me, what is downtown? Downtown is that. Like, downtown is, you know, I'm still not ready to, I'm still at that stage of like, I'm not talking about it, but I'll give you downtown, you know? And it's just, it's crazy to me, because when I think about it, it's not crazy, but that's just the way I speak. But when I think about it, I'm like, okay, the whole time being raised, going to church, doing the choirs, doing the sign language, doing the plays, doing the Sunday school, Saturday school, whatever. Every day we were there, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I go graduate, do like everything. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I still don't feel like myself. And as messed up as it is, almost swear, as messed up as it is, it's like, unfortunately, it took that situation to really help snowball what was inside and around me the whole time. What teachers were writing down I needed to stop is what I'm doing. And it's working for my, like, working in my favor. And it's like, listening to you, it's like, you're talking about Gabrielle Union, is you reading me? Right? And it's like, it's really beautiful when you're able to meet and speak with women that like truly have been through things and can truly share their eat, pray, love journey.
Yeah.
Let you know it's not like the end of it. And you do seem like that friend that, girl, I know I said it 6 times before, but this time I mean it. I mean it. And you're gonna pull up.
Yeah.
And we need those people in our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understood that not on the first time, second, like you weren't leaving. So you overstand those negative people that would be like, well, if you see that, why don't you just go? It's not that easy, especially when you don't have certain foundations or certain
yeah.
everything you spoke on. Everything you spoke.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here just listening to you. I love this. So what I hear you saying is like you have your own story that is similar to mine that you haven't really shared yet.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever you're comfortable. But
Oh,
what
not
I
like that. Just like, no, I had like, no, but like.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does when you want to arrive and when you're comfortable, you know how they say,
I'm gonna find you.
Yeah. Like it is a beautiful, when Pastor Rick Warren wrote, you know, your shame will be the thing that heals others. Like he is so true. When they say the truth will set you free, that's so true. Because honestly, yes, I do know that there are some women who tell their friends what he's doing. They're like, girl, why don't you leave him? Da, da, da. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. So everybody was surprised. Like, what in the hell? Like, well, I did see a little bit of something. Like some people were like, I did see this, da, da, da. So I didn't even share. So that's a lot of where the shame came from now, because I was so private back then. And yes, there are some things you still need to be private with, but not those matters. And so now, yeah, no, that's okay. So now I know that when I do start dating again, like I used to, and then I'm like, you know what, there's nothing more important to me right now than my business. Plus it's COVID. Like, why would I be dating? But when I do, I have male best friends that I will share with, like, is, you know, just taking them along the journey to make sure, because I'm not naive enough to think that I know everything. Yes, I know a lot and I give a lot of tools to my clients, but I'm not naive enough to know that I know everything, right? So there are going to be some things that come up where I'm going to have to be like, yo, Tony, yo, Darnell, so is this allowed? Like, what is, just so I want to be somebody who is open with my life, and there are no areas where I'm afraid of or ashamed to share. I want to be as open as I can, and that's a journey, and that's an everyday process. Yeah. But I am glad, like Gabrielle Union was for me, that you can relate to me and go, you know what, I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. If she got through it, I'll be okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's really like creepy almost. I got 3 pillars too, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
You know, but. Yeah. But in a good way. I know that God is never leaving me. He never leaves my side. So the more and more I speak with people, and though this is work, it's like it doesn't feel like work, and it just reaffirms to me that like I am going to be okay. It's about you right now, but like you are just speaking to me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I totally understand the Christian thing too, because I grew up Christian, right? And so what my parents never really said this to me, but the Christian church does. You wait until you're married, you do this, you stay, you know, prim and proper, and then your perfect man comes and you wait and you do all the things, and then he doesn't come, and it's like, wait a minute. So I wrote a whole blog about what I wish the church taught me. Like, you know what I mean? Like
that's a 5-hour
girl, listen. Like, listen. So I think earlier I said, you know, my parents, one of the core values they had was, you know, it's about your relationship with God. And, you know, I was always a Christian. I always believed in God. And then I went to college and I forgot my practices, you know how you do. But then when I came back to God, especially after that relationship and after the solo trip, I was reading my Bible and I read Paul's words where he was basically saying it's better to be single. There's beauty in everything. There's beauty in marriage, and God does have a reason for that. But just so you know, you don't have to be married to be a good Christian. Like if you can contain the fire, you can be single, and it helps you. Being single helps you fulfill your purpose even better, because now you're not focused on your husband and your kids and whatnot. When I read that part of the Bible, I picked my Bible up and I threw it. I said, nobody told me that. Like, because I was mad. Like, I was so mad that the church focuses so much on you getting married that they make it seem like that's how you be a good Christian. And that's the problem. That's why we have to have our own relationship with God and read our own Bible, right? And study Christianity really. Because if you're following it blindly, that is one of the things that you will believe, that you are a better Christian woman if you get married and have babies.
Yeah. And that's why, in my opinion, unfortunately, so many women in the church are just unhappy. And to be honest, some of the stories I've heard in my life, like, church ones be the most lit ones. Not to, like,
listen.
That's what the drama be, for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sad. And it's just like, it is really sad. So that is part of my mission, is to uncover what Christianity really is for yourself. And you have to have that relationship with God, and it's about you and him, and that is it.
It's
whatever.
funny you say that, because, my dad and I told you I'm a PK. And for those of you who don't know what a PK is, that's a pastor's kid.
Yep.
And let me tell you, people be like, you're a pastor's kid? Hell yeah, I am. Well, let me tell you, my parents know I'm a real one from day one. As you see me now, I am not different. Obviously, I'm respectful because my parents are Jamaican and all those things are instilled. And I know better. But as well, like, at the same time, as I am with you now, you can never, the way I like to live is you can never tell my parents anything that will surprise them, because they already know. Period. So my father and I are forever kicking off about these topics, because I try to explain to him, and I try to explain to him, let me cut it short this way, that you learn Christianity from a slavery standpoint. Not to get too deep, but it's just like a lot of the practices of what we're learning in there are not of us naturally, like, of what our, like, Christianity, if I'm saying it correctly, like, is, And I feel like part of that journey of, because I was definitely one of the first ones to stop going to church and breaking that chain, if you will, and convincing myself that it was okay to not go. And it didn't mean that I didn't love the Lord less. I just understood this environment that we're supposed to be worshiping in is not conducive for me. And I was one of those first people to be like, oh, so you're not coming to church, but you're not pregnant by nobody. So what's the deal? I'm just not rocking with it. That's the deal. I'm at home doing my own spiritual journey. I'm gonna look for what I look for on YouTube. I'm gonna do what I want. And then my dad's favorite go-to is, the Bible says, where 2 or 3 are gathered, finish the rest, right? But then you look at COVID, and now our parents have had to learn to go to church online. Yeah. And I'm just sitting here like, so how's your relationship with God going? Did it lessen now that 2 or 3 are not gathered? And you're I definitely connect with that of your journey with. How did you say it? You said it so perfectly. I don't want to.
Well, it's your own personal journey with God. Like, you have to have that relationship. That's a one-on-one thing. Yes. And if we want to talk the Bible, and we don't have to go too deep, but it showcases that, especially in Jesus, when with the 12 disciples, he would leave all the time and be like, I'm about to go pray. I'm about to go be by myself. I'm about to go to like, Jesus was alone a lot. And also with the single thing, speaking of Jesus, I think it was Pastor Stephen Furtick pointed this out, which is so obvious, but it's like everybody wants to put down single people as if Jesus wasn't the most single man alive. Like, so he lived a lot, like his life was wrong then. He never got married, So I don't know why singleness is so looked down upon. Actually, I do know why. It stems from how women were placed in this society up until, my mom was like 10, where you couldn't buy a house without a man. You had to be married. You wasn't anything unless you had a man, right? Like our grandparents, my grandma had to be married to buy her house. And so that led to a lot of women staying in these relationships because you literally had to have a man, literally, to get a credit card, that's wild, right? Like I own this house. This is in my name.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. And so the privilege that we have now as women is beautiful. And we have to break away from that mindset that we need to want a man. Great. Perfect. But a man does not complete you. Jerry Maguire lied. That is a lie. Complete me. Shut up. That's a movie for those that don't know. Jerry Maguire. It's a 90s movie. Right. It's a 90s movie. And nobody, we're not looking for our rib. Like people think that like, oh, I got to find my other rib. No, shut up. God said that
your rib was in that hotel room. Woo, a word.
It's like God said, I'm sufficient enough. My grace is sufficient enough. Not you need, that makes no sense for the way Christianity is set up for us to think that we need somebody to complete us. That makes absolutely no sense. And even with the worship and going to church. So before COVID, I was still going to church, but now COVID, obviously everything is kind of shut down and weird. I think my church is open and I go because I like the battery charge, but I am not somebody who's like, if you don't go to church, you're a bad person and that means you're not a Christian. Yeah. Whatever your practice is that keeps that connection
is your practice.
That's your practice. It's an individual choice.
Yeah.
And you. And if you don't need church to keep that connection, okay. Yeah. Good. Because Jesus wasn't in buildings. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't need a building to say, I am now close with God.
Because the building is us. Like,
yeah. Now, do we need community? Yes. And that's where I believe the 2 or 3 are gathered, and it's not good for man to be alone. That's another scripture they love to throw at single people. God said it's not good for man to be alone. Yeah, but he wasn't talking about romance only. Like we just need community. Just like Gabrielle Union for me made me feel seen and I felt less alone. That's why we need community. We cannot, as humans, feel alone, right? No, you're fine. Was the camera falling?
No, the lighting. I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun for edits, but yes.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so that's what that means about we do need to be in community. That's why we're tribal at heart. Yes. Yeah. So we do need that. We need 1 or 2 or 3 good friends.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like and where we're building each other up and it's healthy and we can set boundaries and stuff. And yeah, the way of life, the happiest life that you can live is the life that you are living for you, not for other people.
Agreed. And I feel like the older I become and the more I adjust to this, like, oh, you're 30 and you don't have kids, and you're like, the more I adjust to that is the more I'm just like, hell yeah. Like, is there a problem? Like,
I am.
You're hating. That's why, because you did not follow yours and now you're projecting that on me. But with that being said, what do you have to say to the people where on the opposite side of what you do, because I love everything that you're doing, but what we can't ignore, there's always going to be those people trying to play devil's advocate or be like, why are you listening to her? She's dumb. That's why she's single. That's why this, that's why that. You're listening to advice from her. Like, she ain't gonna get married talking like that. Nobody gonna want her being individualized like that. Whatever ignorant things people like to say when they see another woman, empowering women to just be themselves. Like, what's so scary about a woman being true to herself? It scares the world, but here we are. So yeah, what do you have to say to that?
So what do I have to say to the people who say things like that?
Yes.
I'll pray for you. Like, I don't, Dave Ramsey says that, I don't know if you know who Dave Ramsey is, but he's a financial guru. So okay. I've had to climb out of debt because of men before. And so I listened to Dave Ramsey. Listen, girl, it's so funny because anytime I had a boyfriend, I was always broke. Now I ain't broke. I wonder why, because I was taking care of your broke butt. And I don't say that with disrespect. I get it. Everybody's journey.
No, I get what you're saying. I know
different.
it's not.
Yeah, but it's like they were leeches, and I felt like I had, women, we have that natural instinct to take care, whether you have kids or not. And so I saw a wounded dog a couple times on the road, especially my abusive ex, and I felt like I had to take care of him because who else was?
Right.
So it's just like all of those things that you go through, thinking you have to do this to be a good person.
I'm gonna send this interview to 5 friends of mine right now as soon as we're recording.
Perfect. Get out. Yeah, no, I used to confuse like being a good person, meaning that I had to do everything for him in order to be a good person. My wires were crossed in that because it's hard when you're a Christian and God wants you to be a good person, whatever that means. But it doesn't mean you're a doormat. It doesn't mean you deplete yourself, especially when it comes to finances and debt, because God actually says, "Oh, no man anything." So why would I go into debt for you?
Exactly.
How does that make a good relationship? What? So it's just the mindset that I was in 2017 and pre. But what I would say to those people who are, that's why you single. Okay, listen, I had a dude in my DMs. It doesn't happen often anymore, but literally probably, you said what?
I'm sure you have plenty of men in your DM.
Well, I mean, and yes, but this was, once a month is a dude in my DM talking about I'm a man hater, I'm a man basher. And what I do is sometimes I engage them. Most of the time I don't, because Dave Ramsey says control the controllables. The only person I can control is Reka. So I focus on me. Yes. And he's talking about finances, but that's a good life statement. Control the controllables. You cannot control how people view you. But the stronger you are in your purpose and who you are and your worth, and I've seen the work that I've done with clients, so I know what I'm doing is beautiful. And so I don't take that to heart anymore. I used to. The naysayers, when I first started in 2018, I used to, but now I just pray for them. Sometimes I will explain what I do. But it always ends the same way I know it's going to end, where they still don't understand. So I no longer take the time to explain myself to somebody who is so convinced with their opinion. I don't have time. So for the most part, 95% of the time I get it right and I just ignore. And that's fine. And it's so funny that they say that, like, that's why she's single, or you're going to be single forever, as if it's an insult. Like it's okay. Like, okay. It's like when I tell people I want to move to Phoenix or Vegas, they're like, "Oh my God, it's so hot." Exactly. Like, right. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy being single. I'm good. So stop projecting your need to be in a relationship to feel whole onto me. I no longer think that, boo-boo. I'm whole on my own. And so, yeah, that's how you handle those people, those naysayers. You just ignore them, pray for them. We're supposed to love everybody, but it don't mean we got to be with them. That's another lesson I had to learn. Okay.
Heavy lesson.
Right. And so boundary up, I just don't respond anymore.
So we do have a staple question here that, well, more than one, but the first staple question that we do ask everyone here at Downtown, don't waste no time with negativity, is what is a recent situation or a situation in general where it was definitely negative, like hands down, there's no doubt about it, but you somehow found a way to, whether it was WWJD, you rose above and you just found a way to not, as you were just explaining, control the controllables, like to just not, even though it was expected, it was so easy for you to like be negative, you just found a way to like rise above.
Yeah, so I'll use the fact that I stepped down from morning radio and now I'm just part-time. And that was a decision that I had to make. And it was easier to make, not to say that there wasn't hurdles, but it was easier to make because all of the work that I've been doing since 2017 on myself. So again, I've been in radio since, I went to Howard. And my identity was so wrapped into being a radio personality because especially back then, radio was fun. Like, it's fun. Like, the celebrities, I've met Drake. I've interviewed Drake. That was the first time I went viral before I even knew what viral was. You know, Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Justin Bieber. I met like all these celebrities when they were on the rise. So radio was fun and my identity was definitely tied into it. But after I got out of that relationship, my purpose started to change, where back in the day, I just wanted to entertain. If I could just entertain people and make people laugh, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. And yes, I still want to do that because, again, I think I'm funny. But now it's like, I want to feed you something more than just a story about the Kardashians. And the show that I have built here for the past 7 years is not the show to do that on. And the station managers wouldn't like that anyway if I just started being all about women empowerment. So for the past 2 years, it was weighing heavy on me to the point where I started having panic attacks, couldn't sleep, anxiety, especially going through that relationship and at first not sharing it. That's really what started it.
That will definitely do it.
Yeah, like I'm going through all of this and there's a shift happening in my body. And so George Floyd was murdered on national TV, and this, you know, America, we just can't get it together, okay? We just cannot get it together.
Never.
So he was murdered on national TV. COVID is happening. They let go of my fourth co-host at this time. And I hit a wall. And I was like, I can no longer get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm a natural night owl. But I got through it because I wanted to do morning radio back then, right? And so the boss, that is my direct boss, I respect him. And I was like, look, I don't want to just quit on you, but I can no longer do morning radio. I cannot do this. And so we came up with moving me to afternoons. And we presented that to the owners and the OM and everything. And we said why. And I told them, this is my cry for help. I'm literally worried about what's going to happen to my body, my brain. Am I going to have a breakdown if I continue to do the thing that I don't want to do? I love radio, but I can no longer do morning radio. And through trying to negotiate, they didn't hear me. I didn't feel her. This little Black girl is in front of these white men.
Places don't.
Begging for my life, basically, because mental health to me is important. I have a brother who's schizophrenic. Like, it is important to me to take care of your body, your brain, you know, things that we don't see matter. And they didn't hear me. Mind you, I'm the only Black girl on the radio in this building. They own some other stations, but they probably only have 11 of us. And I didn't feel heard, and they tried to put on me that, what, you just want to focus on your business. You just want to, and they used my honesty with them over the past 7 years against me, because I was honest with them. Like, because what's wrong with that? Like,
all those things going on.
What's wrong with having a side hustle? I'm trying to coach women and I would share with them, like, guess what I'm doing? Learn a lesson in that. It's cool. But they tried to use that against me. And they finally came back in, I think it was August, like, nope, you can't move. Sorry, it's morning radio, or I don't know what to tell you. So I said, okay, I quit. I said, I will do part-time if I can keep my endorsements. Because in the back of my mind, I knew I still needed that. I don't want to say need, but I still wanted that paycheck, and I still wanted a voice on the radio for now.
Yes. Until
my business is financially successful enough to sustain me.
Yeah.
And that felt so good, Kay. To be like, you know, like, I'm out. Like, okay.
You finally let it out.
Yeah, I let it go. And I the work that I had to do during that negotiation and prayer, and, you know, can I be somebody else? Can I be something outside of radio? Like, when you're in radio, it gets a hold of you, and you think that's it.
Become that personality.
You become that personality. You are that person. So it was hard to break away, because I still love it, but I cannot do it on their terms anymore. And so, so I was able to handle that with grace. And I didn't, even one of my, one of the guys in my networking group, he was like, dude, I'm so proud of you, the way you handling it. You ain't blasting him. You ain't going on a smear campaign. You are handling it very well. And I was like, nothing but God, because let me tell you about this tongue.
No, 'cause you know what? Your blessings and the universe and like karma, everything's just gonna like work in your favor. Because you move above. Seriously.
Yeah. And I was above needing the listeners to know my side of the story. So most of them do think, besides the one that I really had a conversation with, which is just people in my networking groups, but they do think that I stepped down to focus on my business. And I'm like, okay, that's the story y'all want to say.
Go ahead with it.
Let's roll with it. And then when I'm Oprah and I'm 45 and I'm on a stage with my TED Talk, I'm going to tell the real story. And not to tell it to shame you, but to tell it for people to overcome and understand, like, you know, that you can choose you. And I get it. We're in a capitalist society and we need money to pay bills, but I couldn't be attached to that anymore. Because I mean, you know, and then healthcare in America, like it's attached to a job. So I had to, you know, it's like, do I get rid of this big paycheck and my healthcare? But thank God I live in Washington State. So we actually do have free healthcare. So I do have healthcare. But those are the things you have to think about, especially when you live in America. Like, what happens if I have to go to the hospital? I'm gonna have to pay $30,000 because I don't have coverage, and so it was a lot to think about. But I definitely was like, all right. So if I do, because I knew that I felt in my heart that they were gonna say no. So basically, I was like, all right, worst case scenario, and then I reverse engineered it. How do I not get there? Thank God I own this house. I refinanced, and now I'm floating and building my business. And when I tell you, I've been getting the best sleep now. Right?
Moment, like. That is like, Reka, like, that is not anything just casual.
Yeah.
For not to say you're fully at peace, but for a Black woman to have joy.
Yeah, it is.
In 2020, like, it's beautiful. Like, I'm so happy for you. I'm not even, I'm just like, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you took that courage and that step and you believed in yourself and you like you did that.
Yeah. I mean, I really had to say, this is the question that I asked myself. Do you believe in Jesus? Like, do you believe Jesus? Do you believe what he said to you when he said, I would use this story?
Stop tripping.
So stop tripping. Exactly. And then his promise is he will never leave me or forsake me. Okay. So if you believe that is the message he gave you, that he will use this story, what are you tripping for? Quit that dang job.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah. Because God doesn't want us suffering if we can, if we can help it, if we can control it, right? So if I can control my anxiety and my panic attacks by quitting this job, why wouldn't I? I just don't believe God would want me in that situation. I just don't believe that he would be like, yeah, stay. Like, you know, so I made a decision to bet on myself and ride the wave of faith. And here we are. And it's a journey and it's mindset every day. And that's why my mornings are to me. I pray, I work out, and I get it together. And I have to have a routine to stay anchored, especially in COVID. Yes. And really being the adult of myself. Like, okay, you know. And so it is a journey and it's been interesting, but I still have faith. And I know for a fact. In fact, I was just talking to my cousin today. She sent me a TD Jakes like 4-minute video, and it was like, don't give up. Yeah. And time just has to catch up with my execution. That's it. I'm already successful.
Time just has to catch up with my execution. Bars.
Yeah.
Bars. Yeah. No, like when I'm quiet like this, for people that watch the show all the time, it's just because they know I'm just so like I'm just so happy and like just in a trance with you and just really grateful for everything you're sharing here today, because it's nothing to just gloss over, you know. You're speaking to myself, you're speaking to you, you're speaking to my mom, you're speaking to a whole range of women. And that's the thing. It's like so many times, especially with single women, they put this age bracket on it as well. And let me tell you, Mom, I love you, but she's senior, she up there. And she like, girl, I don't know about putting on that white dress again. I'm chilling, you know? Yeah. So all age, all age groups go through what you're explaining. So it's not a thing of being a man basher. It's not a thing of, it's just, as I said earlier, a voice for the voiceless, and allowing us as women, whether we're in a relationship or not in a relationship, to remember that relationship with ourselves.
That's the first relationship that matters. You know, I ask a lot of women, all my clients, I always ask them this. There's a couple of questions that I ask in the vetting process, especially if you're going to do one-on-one, because you have to apply for that. But one of the questions that I ask is, when they're going through it with their dudes or whatever, how miserable are you willing to be just to say you're in a relationship? Just to be like, yeah, I got a boyfriend. Just to be able to ask when somebody's old auntie, because you at the baby shower, or somebody's kid's birthday, just to be able to say, yeah, I got a boyfriend. Yeah, we may, you know, or just to say I'm engaged. Yeah. Or how miserable are you willing to be?
Yeah.
I hope your answer is like, not at all.
Yeah.
Not to say there isn't, you know, ebb and flows of marriages, but those are the conversations we have in Single You Academy, because married people throw that out there all the time. Oh, marriage is hard. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah. Because a girl who was abused or saw abuse in her household thinks that is hard, and that's normal. So we break that down in Single You Academy. And again, I'm not naive enough to think that I know everything. Yes, I am certified. Yes, I am certified in neuro-linguistic programming. Yes, I have that. And my experience and my story. But in Single You Academy, I bring therapists, I bring married people to break that down, because there is a bucket that we just need to stay away from, that's dysfunction and abuse. And then there is a bucket like, okay, this is normal hard. This is okay. This is how you argue healthy. This is how da-da-da-da-da. Those are the
healthy key parts.
Yes, we're human. And you're trying to bring two lives together, and then you have kids. So yes, there's going to be tension. Yes, I get that. But it doesn't mean that you have to go through this revolving door of dysfunction all the time. Exactly. Yeah, so those are the conversations that we're having in Single You Academy.
I'm trying to look at my notes here, because there is a specific video that I saw on your social media.
Yeah.
I can't find it now, but just
I love it. Do your homework, girl. Yes.
right. But because it's how do I want to say that? It's like, there was a video where you were speaking with a young lady, but it was on the topic of, it wasn't like men cheating, but it was like she was saying she stopped having guy friends because she was afraid that her partner wouldn't like that, and would like, am I triggering some memory for you?
I think yes, I was talking to one of my clients who did the same thing I did. So my ex, in fact, Ivan was one of my friends I had to cut off because of my ex. He didn't like it. He didn't like our relationship. He didn't like our friendship. Me and Ivan have known each other since we was 19 years old. Yeah. Howard University, well before I met this
guy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Well before I met this dude. Yeah. But I thought that I had to, again, in order to get to the happy marriage that I thought that I had to have to be worthy, I thought these are the things that I have to do. So let me just do it. Who cares? Ivan's married anyway. He got kids. What do you need me for as a friend? Like, whatever. I'll just do it to prove that I love you. Yeah. To prove. But I'm sorry. Now that I know what love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not boastful. Love keeps no record of wrong. There is nowhere, especially if you're a Christian, in the Bible, or even in a healthy relationship, even if you don't believe in God, where you need to be proving that you love somebody. End of story. And so she was doing that too. And so that was the conversation that we were having. And I was explaining to her, yeah, we do this, but it's not healthy. And I understand, because I've been there. I had to call one of my guy friends in front of my abusive ex. Wow. Shout out to Scott. They all understood. Obviously, you see me and Ivan are friends, me and my boy. Yeah, like, we're all good now. And they were all like, girl, we was worried. Lord have mercy. And I literally had to call Scott and be like, I can't, like, and Scott knew, because I was so nervous. My voice was shaking, that I wasn't, and it wasn't even like, first of all, I live in Washington State. Yeah. Ivan lives in Atlanta. Scott lives in Philly. So it's not like we was with it spending the night and holding hands. Yeah. But he couldn't even handle my friends checking on me checking on them, us, how the kids, how your girl, da 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 da. Just, normal conversations that friends have. And that taught me a valuable lesson. And the lesson is, I do not have to prove my love to anybody. If I love you, you will just see it naturally in my actions, period. And I don't have time to pacify your insecurities. We are not rehabilitation centers for men. Sorry. So all that trauma you had in your childhood, and he did. And that's another reason why I felt bad. Like, oh, I can fix him. So,
I'm happy you say that, though, because it's like men on the reverse side will love to say certain things along with what you're saying right now when it comes to us as women, like, oh, your daddy issues, whatever, bring it into the relationship. But men have that side as well, which is what you're discussing now.
Girl, and I pray for him, and I don't know where he is today, and I don't even know if he ever went and got counseling.
God go with you.
Yeah, God be with you.
Yeah.
Lord. So I don't know where he is today, but I do hope that he got counseling, because I have diagnosed him as a narcissist.
It's not funny.
It's not funny, but it is funny. Yeah, but
I'm really mature, I swear.
Yeah. And he was actually younger than me. I was 32. He was like 29 or something.
Yeah.
So, we're so removed from that. So he's older now. So maybe he went on his own journey, which would be beautiful. I want that for everybody. I want everybody to go on the journey of, I'm not allowed. Yes, I may have went through some stuff in my childhood, but I'm not allowed to just take that out on people. I need to work on that. Yeah. You're not allowed to. And yes, there are triggers, and yes, some things may come up, but communicate it in a healthy way. Like, I call it emotional intelligence.
Yes.
That is, so I do have like a list of things that I want in a man, and it's not about he needs to be 6 feet tall and have this much money. It's all about his character. And one of the things is he needs to be emotionally intelligent. So it is okay to say, like, if he said, I am uncomfortable with this relationship, I feel like I'm being triggered because I'm a little insecure about you talking to your male friends. Can you tell me about your relationship with them? Like, what was that like?
That's
or what
totally
is it?
Different.
That's fine. We can have that conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you will realize, I ain't messing with these dudes. They just really friends.
Yeah.
So the emotional intelligence that we all need to get to a place to be able to come to your partner, or your mom or dad or whoever, to just say, hey, I'm kind of feeling this.
Yeah.
And then have that conversation. That's the healthy way to do it. Not you cheating, you need to cut off your friends, da 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 da. Yeah. Never again, girl, never again.
Yeah. And it never, like, just in my like personal dating experiences, like it never works out to your benefit. Even when you create all those rules and everyone's abiding by these new rules, like it actually just creates more lies.
You will always go back to factory reset. You are never going to change who you naturally are.
Legit. Oh my gosh, I love that.
You can grow and you can change, you can get counseling, you can do the work, you can be a better person. Yeah, absolutely. If you do the work. But morphing, changing, trying to serve your way into a man's heart, cooking your way, sexing your way, doing all the things for a man will never be sustainable. You can't sustain that. You will be miserable, which is exactly what I was. And then it just made it worse, because then I'm miserable, so I'm mad, so I'm taking out on him. So then it's this cycle of dysfunction, because I can't tell you that I got everything perfect, especially because I was pretending, trying to tap dance for him. There was a girl on Facebook today in one of these groups that I stalk, because it's a lot of women it's a lot of women like complaining about their relationships. So that's where I get a lot of my topics. And she was like, how would y'all feel if your man wanted you to be more girly and you're more of a tomboy? And I said, I would feel like that's not the man for me. I'm a tomboy, and I am actually a tomboy, and she was saying she was too. Like, I'd rather be in Jordans than heels. So, right, like, I got sweats, I got joggers on, girl. Like, I would rather be in Jordans than heels. So if you want me to be girly, then I'm just not the girl for you. So I'm not going to try to fit that square peg into a round hole. I'm not going to try to do that. because I will be miserable trying to walk around in these heels and wear all this makeup and be this girly, prissy little thing for you because that's what you want. That just, and I'm not saying and I even said that in the post, like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy or abusive. He just might not be the guy for you.
Right for you.
Because,
I agree.
yeah, because anybody who loves you wants you to be you, period. Now, it's okay to be like, hey, babe, I'm about to take you out on a fancy dinner. You want to dress up? I like dressing up here and there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you saw my Instagram post.
You're not. That's a totally different,
Yeah. Every day, I'm not dressing up. We're not doing that. Yeah. But if you want to take me out, okay.
No, because I get what you're saying, because even for myself, like a lot of the people that knew me like in the earlier years in high school and like life, that they see me now, they're like, you're wearing makeup? You like, because hardcore, like I was stealing my brother's jeans, like all types, right? So but it's like there's certain people that can handle the, for lack of better words, like the manliness that some women carry. Like I know I'm a alpha woman, if that's even a term. Is it?
Yeah, I guess that's what they call it. But I mean, I've literally had men be like, "You're too," you know, because I can take out my own trash. I can, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I've learned the hard way through one of my pillars is like, I gotta be with the alpha male. I gotta be with like dude, like I respect you, because if that's not the case, I'm gonna walk all over you and this relationship will not work.
Yeah, and then that is where his insecurities come out. So I've never been with the alpha male who was so secure within himself, because again, you know, I said that I was always broke when I was dating these guys, because none of these guys had the career trajectory that I had. Like, again, I've been in radio since I was 19, since I graduated. So my trajectory, I just kept making more money, where they're still trying to figure out who they are. So that's another thing on my list as well. Like, you know, guys I'll date, like they have to know who they are and be working towards a better version, because we're all, you know, we're
sexy.
Yeah, that's sexy. Like, yes, girl, yeah. And I always say, you know, perfection is, that's not a thing. None of us are going to be perfect, but the striving for is sexy.
Yes.
Go. Like, that's the type of man I want. You already got to be on your own path. Because so we're Christian, a Proverbs 31 woman, right? So all the girls say that, I want to be a Proverbs 31. I'm like, do you even know who she is? Because baby girl is hustling. She got her own life and she's on her path. And then the guy who's on his path, y'all supposed to just kind of meet up and be like, oh, okay, let's build together. Not, oh, I got to pull him up. That's what I was doing in my relationship. Oh, God. And then I'm miserable. And then we arguing. And then the dysfunction just.
Yes.
Continues. Yeah.
Yes, Reka. Like, no, like, seriously, a lot of the things I asked you, you just had recent conversations about, like, literally just having conversations about what you're speaking on. And it's like, the person was, because I'm not perfect, definitely still learning, definitely working on my insecurities and those daddy issues and things like that. But it's like knowing and understanding that this is what the relationship should, not all the time. There's a healthy version of this, but it ain't. No,
the
no.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, those are the conversations we have in Single You Academy, because yes, sometimes you are going to have to be there for your dude, your husband. We all have bad moments, bad weeks, bad season. I'm sure COVID is showing it. A lot of that. I mean, I know a lot of people getting a divorce right now, which is sad. But yeah, so there are those moments. But if you are always pulling him up, sis, why? That's your kid. Yeah. Like, I don't have any kids, so I'm definitely not raising a man who ain't mine.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Now, another staple question that we do have here at Downtown is you have the 4 elements, and I'm sorry if I get them wrong, because I'm always be freestyling the elements, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure someone's going to correct me one day. But for now, we'll say the 4 elements are earth, water, fire, and air.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Earth, wind, fire, and air. So which element represents you or do you resonate with the most and why?
Oh, earth, water, fire, and air. I think I'm fire for my clients because I come in there and I burn everything they thought about relationships up. I hope that answers the question, but that's just what came
Well,
up.
no, you. I meant you as Reka, but we could do both. We can do you for your clients and what you do
Yeah.
for them, and just you as
Yeah.
Reka Robinson. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think I would even say fire just for me too, because I feel like I've blazed so many trails for myself. I mean, even going back to being in 5th grade, telling my mom I was going to live in New York, and then I did. Wanting to go to Howard University so bad, so then I went and knocked on their door. You know, moving all the way across to Indianapolis, Indiana for my first full-time job in radio, and I wasn't scared at all. In fact, my dad, I remember I got that job. I was like, Dad, I got the job in Indianapolis. He was like, okay, well, call him and tell him you can't go. And I was like, what? Why? You're not happy? He was like, girl, the KKK was founded there. You ain't God and let my daughter live in Indianapolis. Obviously I did. But yeah, so I've always been marching to the beat of my own drum, as they say, you know, that cliche. So I think that I would say fire for me too. And blowing up, I had to unlearn a lot of the stuff that I thought I knew about dating and relationships. And so that's what I do for my clients. And I had one client specifically tell me, Reka, she was in her 40s too. She said, Reka, the stuff that you have taught me and what I've learned from you, I am now sharing with my 20-year-old daughter. I cannot believe that I used to date and she used the word stupid, so I'll use the word.
yeah.
And she just said, I dated so stupid.
Yeah.
And my daughter will not, if I have something to say, about it. I am breaking a generational curse because of you.
Yes.
I started crying when she told me that.
You have to.
Yeah, I was like, what? Breaking a generational curse, that's dope.
That's
So
major.
I lit on fire. I blew up everything she thought about relationships and what she had to do for men in order to be in a relationship, because that's what people tell her she has to do. So, so I would say that.
Yes, no, like, thank you. And, you know, I do like to share responses of others in relation to what you have said. And like what I've been told about fire is some of my favorites that have still stand with me now is number one, to make pure gold, you must go through the fire. Drops mic, it hits me every time.
Yeah. And a diamond is made in pressure. Like, yes.
Yes. Something else that was said to me about fire and why it resonated with someone was fire was the spark of evolution. Once man learned how to make fire, things just started turning up. Everything was just on go for Earth. So when you think about fire, it's like, yes, if it even yesterday I was speaking with someone and they chose fire as well, and they said, you know, in relation to cooking, yes, with fire you can get, if you turn it too high, you can get burned. You can burn up the plate. But if you have it at the right temperature, you have everything just blends together so beautifully, and it's like just the perfect heat, the perfect storm. So continue being fire. Continue to blow people's minds. You blew my mind, and we need our minds to be blown. Now more than ever, in my personal opinion, I feel like if COVID has taught Black people anything, is we can't be like how our parents were in the most respectful way. We have to blow shit up. We have to, not in the literal sense, people.
Right.
There's writers out there, not in the literal sense, people. Please get ease. But like, just we have to be thought provoking and trigger what the norm is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we want to move forward in life, like, we wouldn't have gotten things like Tesla and things like that if people weren't blowing shit up and like,
Yeah.
so keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Question everything, for those that are listening, like question everything and figure out why you believe the things that you believe. And if you still come to the conclusion that you believe that, that's great. But more than likely, you will realize, you know what, I don't believe what my parents believed, or, whatever it is, just, in the simple fact that, my dad probably still believes I should be in radio, because that's what you do, right? You get a good job, you retire and die. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial, baby. We millennials, we got like 5 jobs, like 5 careers. Like we go from here to here to here. And that's statistically proven. Like we will hop a job if we feel like we're not mentally safe in a minute. And yeah, and that's what I did.
I've done it. I was in my ideal job at this law firm, 20-floor office, what I spent the whole 4 years in college for, but I just left my key card on that keyboard. And they called me on the Monday, like, girl, are you sure? Because if you still want this, like, you got it. And I was like, nah, y'all can have it. And just like you were explaining earlier, like, that moment is coming for me, that all y'all at work, I am about to just use you as examples and speak on it. And people are going to be like, you went through this? And I'll be like, yeah. So now, Reka, I do always like to throw in a random question in there, just really, really random. So please do not think normal. It has to be random. I actually want to ask you too, because you're really fun and I feel like I can show my silly side with you.
Yeah, yes, girl, yes. Be what does Ellen say? Be weird.
Hey, all right. So question number 1 is, with everything going on now in 2020, right? And like, it gets more and more real every day that space is like possibly be an actual vacation trip. Would you go to space given the chance, Reka? And what planet?
Oh my gosh, I've never thought of that. I mean, I know that's a thing, right? Like,
Leave it to me to ask those questions. And as a fun fact, if you question my question, I was on Apple Music one day, and sometimes when you're in that like discovery part and you're seeing new albums and things, this guy said that he went to space and recorded his whole album. Yeah.
In real life?
Not to say Apple Music can't be like Wikipedia, but in real life, I read it. And
NASA let him go to space.
As we're speaking, I'm gonna Google man who recorded album in space.
I'm like, that's dope.
I Google things, so I can tell you.
Yeah.
But would you? On which planet?
Oh God. So I am afraid of like scuba diving. So I wouldn't, because I just feel like, not that I'm claustrophobic, but having all of that stuff on me and my face and that, I don't know. And it depends on how much does it cost? Like, I don't know. I know that's, that's where we're trying to go.
You can't see it.
No.
Astronaut Chris Hadfield. Space.
Oh, okay. So he was an astronaut. Okay. I'm thinking like what? Like ASAP Rocky was like, NASA, I want to go to space, and then they went. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. It on one hand it seems cool. So, but for right now, just because of everything that I would have to wear, can I breathe? I don't know. So I'm gonna say no right now.
You're saying Elon Musk says, "You come true. We're gonna go to Mars real quick." You're like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll see you when you get."
Am I the first person that's going, or is this like the 1 million? Like, I like people to test things out for me first. Like,
let me see how that goes.
How it goes first. I don't want to be the first. I'll tell you that. I don't have to be the first, but I could be like the 500,000. Yeah.
Millionth, billionth,
Right,
trillionth.
Right. I like gravity. I'm cool.
I like what it does. I like what it presents.
I like feeling like I'm steady.
I like where it stays. See this?
Right.
Do this.
Right. It's predictable. Gravity is predictable. Not having gravity, I don't know, man. I'll have to see.
So fun. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And and to be fair, I think I should. I think I would go, but you're right. I wouldn't want to be the first bunch. That's for sure. I need to see if we can handle the oxygen. Am I gonna blow up? All these things. So I'm with you on that. But I definitely love to go up there. Let's see what's happening. But now in 2020, like these questions when we were younger, it seemed like so impossible and just fun, childish things. But as life progresses, and I really hope, listen, when we're in our senior age, it's going to be about 2040, 2050.
I agree. We're not that far. I mean, we're already going there to test it and stuff, but.
So a lot of people, like, I say it a lot and I'll be like, 2050, 2050, 2050. And they'll be like, but like, it's not as far as you think. And if we're thinking of being like at our parents' age, like, yeah, that's going to be around the time it is in the world. Now, my other question is, because I love food, food is life. What did you eat today?
Oh, what did I eat? Okay, so for breakfast, I had my bacon, my eggs, and my little piece of toast. And then for
what
lunch,
kind of eggs? Scrambled? You got to take me there. Take me through the journey.
Right. So normally I do like scrambled eggs.
Okay.
For some reason, I've been on an over easy egg kick right now.
What's the vibe?
So, yeah, I always like put my piece of toast on the pan with the cheese and let it melt. And then I put my, and as I'm cooking my eggs, and then I put the eggs on top of there. Then I put the bacon. So it's like an open sandwich.
Yes.
Then I put 2 pieces. Then I put ketchup on there. I don't know if you do the ketchup. I love
ketchup.
Ketchup.
And the pepper sauce, because I love my spicy.
Yes. I could do that too. I don't have pepper sauce, but I love spicy too. So I had that, and then
the cheese that touches the pan.
Yes, cheese. And I don't even drink milk, so I try to stay away from dairy. But I love cheese. Cheese is what I will not give up on. And then
God's blue.
Yeah. For lunch, I had some Indian food, which was what's it called? I'm gonna name their rice wrong, but their rice and their lamb dish, and that was leftovers from yesterday.
Yummy.
Because the Indian places here, they be giving you hella food. I love it. Yes, I have it for like a week.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll probably have it for dinner. I haven't eaten dinner yet, but I'll probably have it for dinner. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining my silly questions.
No problem. No, that's how you know I love Jamaican food, because I feel like that Caribbean food is the same but different.
Yeah,
I know that there are different things, but yeah, that's why I love all that, the spicy food, the Jamaican, Indian food, all that. Yeah.
What is one of your favorite dishes?
Macaroni and cheese. Is that basic?
No. Well,
Right.
mac and cheese or macaroni and cheese?
Ooh, is there a difference? I do baked macaroni.
Okay, because that's when I'm thinking mac and cheese, I'm thinking like in the oven.
Yeah.
Piece.
No, yeah. It has to be the baked macaroni with the 17 million different cheeses.
Yes.
And it's creamy. Like, I can eat that by itself. I don't have to have anything else. Yeah. So mac and cheese is sustainable. I can make it. I'm not the best. I hate cooking, but I will make that. Yeah, I'm just not. I told you I'm a tomboy. Like,
Eats, please.
You said what?
Uber Eats, please.
100%. But I'm trying to stay away from that because I'm trying to save and cut back. So that's why I like ordering the Indian food, because $20 lasts all week, like literally, because I don't eat a lot. Like, so that's why I do food like that, like that. So
same.
I have to leftover, or pastas are always, anytime you order pastas from any of these places that I have here, it's always a lot. But mac and cheese, because I know how to make it.
That is,
Yeah.
I cannot wait till like the world just kind of calms down, and I just want to invite all these amazing people, including yourself, and I just want to cook for you guys. And
I have to get to Toronto. I've been to Canada, but because I'm in Washington State, I've only been up to Vancouver.
Yes.
And there's a Vancouver, Washington, but there's obviously a Vancouver, Canada. So I've actually been to Canada when I was little, before we needed passports. But I've always wanted to go to Toronto, so I'm going to have to.
Come on, I got a room for you. You're More than
I'm
welcome.
I'm
I
there.
I used to go to DC in the summers for 1 week in the summer because a
Okay.
friend of mine, she was the one with big house out in DC, and I want to remember the neighborhood. It started with a C. It's gonna bug me.
In DC?
I could be getting it wrong. I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will stay in my mind, and I'll probably randomly DM you and be like, "This was
I'm
the
like, what was it? Yeah, exactly. Right,
Right,
exactly.
but we have our annual like family barbecue, and it would be like at her house in DC, and all the cousins, all 20 of us in the basement sleeping, memories for life. So when I think of DC, those are like the memories that first come to mind, and a great time. And soon, coming like fingers crossed, but I'm pretty sure January 2021, DC will be extra turned because the inauguration and everything going on. So be prepared.
I know. Obviously I went to Howard, which is in DC, and all the memes that, going on in our Howard circles are talking about homecoming has moved to January 2021. I will not be going just because COVID. I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was normal life, I would go. But yeah, it is, again, America, we can't get it right, but at least we got this part right, but we just have to keep staying engaged.
Yes.
So, and I was involved in a lot of voter stuff here in Washington State and stuff. So it's just like, all right, we got what we wanted in this election, but now we have to stay engaged. And so I hope that continues, even on me. Like, I just hope we continue the pressure that we've, put on our own country. But I'm sorry, I know we're like below you guys and we're trying to get it together. We're trying.
No, listen.
I know Canada, y'all must be like, what the hell is America doing?
85% of Canadians know more about, matter of fact, they think we got a president when we have a prime minister over here. Like, that's how it is over here. Like, at least I'll say for Toronto. I can't speak on the rest of Canada, but like Ontario, which is our province, how you guys would have like your state,
Yeah.
85% of the people, like, we're heavily engaged and always paying attention to U.S. politics, including myself. As I said, my father is over there in ATL, things like that. So it's always something important to me. And as well, you guys are the most powerful country in the world. So whatever's decided on your guys' end, it affects everywhere else. So you guys have a lot of the power.
Right. That's why we have to get it together. We're like, this is not, the last 4 years is not how we want us to be represented. Like, what in the hell was that? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we just went through an abusive relationship, and Joe Biden is going to be our rebound boyfriend, and then we'll actually get the one that we want. But right now, I'm like, all right, let's work through this, America.
Yes. I had the privilege of just being a part of, like, shout outs to Jotega Edie and like some really powerful Black women that were really behind the changes that are happening in MVP and women and things like that. So really, really excited. Not to say I know what's happening in 2021 or anything like that, but I'm just really looking forward to a brighter light this year, even though there's talk of vaccines and all of the noise. At the same time, we still do have positive things to look forward to. So my last question to you will be tonight, Reka. When people hear the name Reka Robinson, what do you want them to remember? What do you want them to think? And how do you want them to feel?
Ooh, man. That she was not only an advocate for women, but an advocate for herself. Part of my mission statement is to be a light for single women. But I know that, especially because from the messages that I get, even married women are like, you go, girl, you got this, keep going. I wish I had you when I was 15. So I would say in this moment that, yeah, if something were to be written about me today, that it would be that she's a light for women. And that is why I've received some of the awards that I've received, like being a woman of distinction for the Girl Scouts of Washington State and stuff. And
congratulations on receiving
yeah,
it.
and getting those awards, it's like they see me, they see what I'm doing. Because sometimes you don't, and not that I do it for the accolades, but sometimes you're like, are they getting the message that I'm trying to?
Yeah, that's the way
so,
you get to know.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
And as I getting to, because majority of the people that I do speak with are beautiful Black women like yourself, and what I like to just share, and I also am telling myself this, like, we have to not feel shy to say what we've actually done. Like,
yeah.
like it's okay to say things that we've actually done. Like, sometimes, and please public don't kill me for this, where it's just like I look at women like Angela Yee, Angie Martinez, because as I said, I live for radio, MC Light, you know, and Queen Latifah, even though she briefly, you know, but behind the scenes, I know she does a lot. And it's just like, it's okay for us to say what we've done. Like, we what do they say? Humble brag?
Humble brag, yeah.
Is that the term? But like, it's okay, because then it's letting other women know what you've done, what we can do, and what we can surpass.
Right. And that's the way our society is set up. And I'm sure it's true for Canada too, that, you know, people do get accolades sometimes for the things that we do. So it's okay to say that we got them. Just for ourselves, we have to do the work to make sure we're not tying our identity to those. Like, this is the only thing that makes me worthy if somebody gives me an award. And so staying true to that, knowing that you're worthy regardless, but it is nice to, you know, get an accolade and then share that and stuff. So, yeah.
So where can everyone find Reka and bug you and
slide into my DMs? I don't mind if women slide into my DMs. It's the men that sometimes I'll be like, what in the hell? So yes,
support you. That's a main thing as well for me. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's 2 layers. So if you are a woman who doesn't want to go on the journey of discovering your worth and stop tying your identity to men and stop being a man pleaser, I can do that work with you. The reason why I know that, because I've done it for myself and I've done it for my clients over and over again. So if you want to get more information on Single You Academy, slide into my DMs. I'm on Instagram as just me, Reka, and Reka is how you spell my name. And then my website is single-you.com. So you can get more information there as well. And if you just want to support, you want to hear more of this women empowerment, I do have a podcast called Single You as well on all streaming platforms. So
I'm already subscribed.
yeah. So I'm available. I'm out there. So anybody can reach out to me for sure.
And thank you so much for giving me so much. And let me tell y'all, because I'm a real one, I'm not going to hold y'all. I was only supposed to be here for half an hour, but Reka gave y'all a whole movie and previews, okay? So,
I love it.
I am beyond grateful, and thank you so much for just sharing your truth with me and letting me know that I am not alone, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is light within. Like, I don't always have to seek out for that light. Like, it's already in here. So I want you to close it out. You had the last words.
Oh no, pressure. Well, that's beautiful. I receive it. And thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and share this space with you. And I'm glad that you feel seen now and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So yes, this is the last thing I will say. The light is in you, and you have everything you need in you to overcome anything, to be successful in anything. It's in you. You got it.
This is Reka Robinson. Everyone, please support her. Please follow her. And please remind yourself that we need to support each other and continue to build these communities. This has been another amazing, amazing week and another episode of Downtown Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, don't waste no time with negativity.
about to go